Stories with Kameel Nasr. I am Kameel Nasr, and it's really good to have you here. I have Sailaja Joshi here. Am I pronouncing it right?
Sailaja.
Sailaja.
Yeah,
Sailaja.
you got it.
And we're going to talk really about Indian American children, right? So you went to the library for children's books. You had a child. You went to the library and you saw the children on the children's book didn't look like your children, right?
Yep.
So tell us, what did you do after that?
Yeah, so I am Sailaja Joshi, and I'm the CEO and founder of Bharat Babies. And my journey in creating Bharat Babies really started when I was pregnant with my daughter and was at the library and realized that she wouldn't see herself on the cover of the books. And I wanted her to know her stories, to know her culture, her history, her heritage. And so I decided to take matters into my own hands and launched a publishing company.
A publishing book, and you started books of your own. Yeah. We have a few examples right in front of us.
Yeah.
And they feature Indian American. So you're the daughter of immigrants, right?
Yes, I'm the proud daughter of two parents who immigrated from India in the early 1980s. Settled here in Massachusetts, and I grew up here.
Yes, and just for I have relatives now in India. In the same town, from the same town that you're at, because my nephew married an Indian American. I spent a lot of time in India. I know the country very well. And you know, when I came to this country as a kid, I was about 7 years old when I came to the country. My brother and I really wanted to assimilate into America. We did not want to speak Arabic with our parents. We didn't want to have anything. We wanted to play baseball. We wanted to do all the things are different now. Why is that?
I think things are really different now. You know, in my parents' time, it was a lot about assimilation. But in my generation, my parents really worked pretty hard to try to preserve the culture, the language, the religion among us. But I was still nervous to be talking about it with my peer group.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I became a parent, became a mother, that I realized just how much I wanted to keep that connection to my homeland. And so I think that's really part of the reason that Bharat Babies has been so successful and that people are loving our books and loving our content, because we are telling the stories of people's culture, history, and heritage while also embracing the fact that they have this dual identity, this hyphenated identity. Yeah.
So now in your stories, you have a lot of the Indian mythology, the Indian gods, and the tradition of India. Tell us a little about what's inside the books and why is it different? What makes it different?
Yeah, so our product categories span, 3 different lines, going from birth all the way up through early elementary school right here. So you have board books, illustrated books, as well as early readers. And the big thing about these books is they feature characters who are brown, who have India as part of their identity, but also at the same time embrace their American identities as well. So our characters, for instance, Harni and Padmini, are going to a yoga class with their moms in this book, and that's a really simple activity. It's one of our newest books. It sounds really silly.
I was gonna say that's very American. Going to a yoga class. Because I go to yoga class too, and it's become very American, although it's Indian, right?
And in this book we celebrate, the Indian roots, the Hindu roots of yoga, and Padmini and Harni learn about that while also going through some poses. Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Do you know how many Indian Americans are there in the United States? You know that?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but there's, I think there are a couple million. I feel like the number was 3.3 million, but I might be now making that up. And I think what's really been powerful about our books is they resonate not only with Indian Americans, but also with parents just looking for
Exactly,
good
for
stories.
for good stories and different cultures too.
Yeah, exactly.
So so you were able to sell these to Hispanic Americans and so on. Exactly.
Yeah, it's people who are just really looking to have a diverse bookshelf.
So now you had to start writing these books, right? And you have now a big team. I saw you have a big team of writers and illustrators, a lot of different illustrators, both Indian American and white American.
Yeah.
And how did you form this company? I mean, did you have some seed money? Did you have? Yeah.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
And so I started out thinking I was going to be an author. And quite quickly realized that writing was not where I wanted to spend my time. I wanted to grow this company and had a vision for it. And I was really fortunate to be an alum of Northeastern University. And as an alum, I was part of their venture incubator called Idea. This is really important. They give me the first little seed money I needed. It was $1,000 to hire our first illustrator, to get pictures for our first book that allowed me to go in front of
just $1,000. You started a business with $1,000.
I started a business with $1,000 and gumption.
And gumption, yeah, I imagine.
Gumption and a deep belief that I was going to do this.
How many books do you have now?
We have 9 books across 3 product categories, and a 10th book that's at the printer. That is an art series book, and so many more manuscripts in the pipeline.
Excellent. And so where do you sell them? You sell them to bookstores, libraries?
So you can find us locally at a handful of bookstores, Porter Square Books, as well as Magpie Kids. In addition to that, we are in libraries, schools, but most people visit our website to grab our books, and we ship directly from there.
Oh, give us the name of the website.
Yeah, so our website is bharatbabies.com.
And you spell that?
BHARATBABIES.com.
Okay, well that's great. We can go to the books. We can go to your site and look.
Yeah.
A lot are in the New England area. Are there a lot of Indian Americans? Are they based mostly in cities? Where are they?
So there's a strong Indian population here in the sort of New England area.
Yes.
And it's growing pretty rapidly because of, the university base as well as the biotech base and all of that. Some of our biggest selling, areas where we sell some of our most books are in California,
I see. So you're nationwide.
We're nationwide because we have, it's the beauty of e-commerce, because we have that. We even ship internationally as well. We actually have this great store in Trinidad that loves to carry our books because there's a huge Indian population there, and we feel really excited that we get to take part in that.
This is New England Authors with Kameel, Nasr, and I have Sailaja Joshi with us. Okay, well, that's very good. So tell us now, have you had any opposition? People who think you shouldn't be doing this? Have you had any, let's say, was it ethnic attack or something like that?
I think overwhelmingly the response has been phenomenal. People are really, really open to that. But I do think one of the things is my sister and I were both raised Hindu. Our other co-founder is Jewish. And we do have books that speak to the Muslim American identity because India is home to many religions, including Islam.
It's one of the biggest Islamic populations in the world.
Exactly. And so we wanted to tell those stories because they were important to the identity of being Indian. And those stories weren't quite there yet.
Yeah, there's also a Jew, but most people don't know this. There's also a Jewish community.
Yes, exactly,
And many Christians.
Buddhists, Sikhs, Jains, Christians. We wanted to tell all the stories of the religions that called India home. And so when we do tell the stories of Islam or the Muslim American experience, we're really careful about it, which is why we have cultural advisors who help us in understanding the stories, who read our stories, and provide us with insights that we would not have been part of our lived experience that are helpful. But I think that's certainly a tension that we haven't come across, but I'm sure that people think about, they ask for.
So now, running a business is expensive.
Yeah.
Where do you get funded?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And the truth is, a lot of this is bootstrapped. A lot of friends who really believe in our mission have invested in us. But later this year, we'll be launching our first crowdfunding campaign on I Fund Women, which is a phenomenal platform which really believes in sort of democratizing the funding experience for women entrepreneurs. As the daughter of an immigrant, as a woman of color, like the networks that normal entrepreneurs are tapped into,
Yeah.
I just simply don't have access to. And so that's certainly been one of the biggest challenges we've had to date.
Is funding.
Is hands down funding.
Most of your workers, most of the people in your company are women.
Most of our work, yeah.
Mothers, or I guess that's related to the fact that it's children's books.
Yeah.
Have you thought about expanding to older children as well?
Yeah, I think one of the first things I realized is that we needed more product categories.
Yes.
That young adult literature was completely sort of void of these it's getting better, but it was at the time like really void of that, like these diverse characters, diverse stories. So creating early readers as well as young adult literature, I think, is definitely something that's on our minds and brains, and we're looking forward to doing very soon.
So do you think Indian American children are different than American children?
I think there's a lot of interesting and unique experiences that are common to the immigrant identity. You know, like this challenge of having your name pronounced, or finding your name. I say this because
I relate to that too. Yeah,
it's truly common, and it's actually something we'll be tackling in one of our newest books called Always Anjali. Is this tension you feel of having this very foreign identity, and trying to find your place in a community that might not accept that, and then only coming to realize that actually your friends are supporting you and realizing that. And that's a long-winded way of saying, I think for the Indian American experience, many aspects are sort of unique to us in how we're maybe teased and made fun of and characterized. But at the end of the day, I think sort of every immigrant generation goes through it.
So now in children's books, there are books about gay families and other books that were never brought up before, family situations that weren't brought up before. What's new in children's books now? What's the cutting edge?
I think you're really seeing sort of this renaissance in children's literature that is really moving towards having really well thought out diverse characters, not simply just having a character of color there just to have a character of color there, but really thinking about their identities. I think another really interesting and fascinating thing that's coming in children's lit is you'll see a lot of sort of books that are just pictures, which I think are pure pictures with no prose, which is, you see a lot of Caldecott Medal winners there, which is really quite fascinating. And I think we're finally seeing children, in terms of the diversity space, you're seeing a movement away from the teaching texts, like Johnny has two mommies. Instead of having texts like that, you're seeing books like our, Harini and Padmini Say Namaste, where Padmini has two moms, and her two moms just take her to yoga, because that's what, families do together.
So you have different kind of relationships.
A lesbian multicultural family.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now that must bring you a lot of tension from the traditional Indian American community, no?
Our yoga book is new. It's been out for about 3 or 4 weeks, and the response has been overwhelmingly exciting, loving, and accepting. And any resistance we meet, we explain that one of our deep missions is for every child to see themselves as the hero of a book and to see themselves represented. And that this is a family that exists out there.
So where else do you kind of focus on marketing your books? Is it just to, how do you get to the Indian American community? You know, how do you get to that?
That's a great question, and it's a tough question. The Indian American community, you know, we've done a lot with Facebook ads. We've done a lot with trying to really target our community and find them in the spaces and places that they're buying things. And I think for moms, overwhelmingly, they're sort of online. So Instagram's actually been a phenomenal selling tool for us, and it's given us an opportunity, as well as going to events. When people see me, they really resonate with they really resonate with my experience, and they want to see more. They want to know more.
Now, you write some of these books, or is it a collaborative effort? You don't write any?
I don't.
I thought you wanted to be an author.
I know. I do want to be an author, and I have an idea for a series, and I will work with one of our authors on it. But I love being the person who gets to share these stories, who gets to uplift the voices of people who've been like dreaming of being children's book authors. I think that's such a honor to be that person.
Now, how do you get children to read? Particularly boys, you know.
I think that's a great question.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's showing them. And we have Amal is our Bengali American character, and he's in our Muslim series.
Obviously, you have to have a parent read to them.
You have to. I think having a parent read to them is big.
From what age?
From the beginning, from birth, which is why, like, you know, we're working on more board books that have
these
male
are
characters.
like for very young people.
This is like right around age anywhere from 5 to 7, sort of depends on the reading level.
They could read that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's
they
designed
could read
for them.
that. Which is one of the books that's more for really young kids, like one age that you read to them and so on.
I think this is our book, our board book, Padmini is Powerful.
When you say board book, what do you call it? What do you mean board book?
So board books are designed because they have thick cardboard pages.
Yes.
That for little hands that are just learning the skill of
manipulating,
it makes it really easy for them to open it and to not tear those pages.
Yeah.
And what's really great about this book is there's a little sensory piece, this little mirror here the end, which for young kids, you know, 1 or 2, they love that. It's one of their favorite things.
Yeah, this is New England Authors with Kameel Nasr. So, very good. And what are some of the techniques that the parents can use to get their kids to actively read?
I think especially for, you know, older kids, those who are maybe starting to become independent readers, is nurturing their curiosity, finding the subjects that they're really interested in. You know, my mother did a phenomenal job of making sure I was at the library, talking to your librarians who are phenomenal resources.
They're next to angels.
I know. I love librarians so much. Who will help you find the books that your children are excited about, because when they are excited about the books, that's all that
how do you bring that excitement? What do you do? I mean, there's some particular technique. You leave the book on a coffee table.
I think growing up, it was my mother started reading with me and then encouraged me to read to her. Yeah. And that power of reading to her, I felt like it gave me this piece of power. You know, like I was no longer a child. I was like an adult, it felt like. And she also gave me texts that, you know, maybe were like a couple of grade levels older. So I sort of felt like, ooh, I'm a really good reader. I'm really powerful. Things like that.
She challenged you.
She challenged me in a way that made me have this deep, lifelong love of reading that, like, you know, I still read. I'm reading.
We were talking about this a little earlier, that boys boys aren't doing very well in school compared to girls, and I think one of the simple reason is boys aren't reading, and I don't know what happens, but girls are encouraged to read, boys less so. You find that true?
I think it really depends. My children are younger; they're 4 and 2, but you definitely start to see this gendering of children so early on,
Yes.
and I think instead of basing a way or method based on some sort of biological functions, I'm much more open to nurturing what their curiosity and excitement is.
Yeah.
And I think that is the challenge, and I'm looking forward to really exploring new ways of approaching different communities, including different kinds of young male readers, and seeing what texts excite them.
Yeah, I think there's one of the things is that there's been studies that show that parents talk to girls more than they talk to the boys, and so we treat the different sexes differently from right at the beginning. And I don't know, can your books change that? Are your books for boys? Are they for girls? Are they what?
Our books are for anyone who's curious.
Curious.
I think that's really...
You know, by the way, this program is sponsored by the Curiosity Foundation. So this is our...
Great. I think that our books are truly for anyone who's curious, anyone who's excited to learning more, and they really have the power to change, because I think when children can see difference and it's not scary, they can approach it in a really easy, approachable way. They get excited about it, and they're open to have a conversation about it, as opposed to maybe not understanding it and starting to make fun of it.
Yeah. Oh, well, Sailaja Joshi.
You got
it. Very nice, from Bharat Books.
Yes.
Am I pronouncing that right too?
Bharat Babies,
Bharat Babies. Bharat Babies, which is a word for India.
Yeah.
And and let's talk a little about Indians coming to America.
Yeah.
What are the challenges?
I think, you have multiple sort of diverse Indian groups coming here to the United States. It's not just, high-level professionals who are maybe going to do their master's degrees, doing their degrees in, or working in biotech.
Working in biotech.
Working in the software engine. Exactly.
Yeah.
You have lots of those. But you also have the migrant families who are coming here from impoverished backgrounds in India, who are really looking to become entrepreneurs, who are looking for a better opportunity. So I think it's really, really incredibly diverse, the wide range of people, economic backgrounds.
I relate that as an immigrant myself, and my mother and father were just hardworking immigrants who were honest as the day is long, and tried to make every penny count, and so on there, and really loved America, really believed and loved America because it gave them this opportunity, although we didn't come from an impoverished background, but I think there's a lot of other immigrant communities that can relate to what you're talking about. So I really wish you well. I really wish you would expand this. And you're trying to get crowdfunding. Have you applied for grants and other kinds of funding to expand your business?
So we've applied to a variety of different grants, accelerators, scholarships, a variety of things. And I think a big challenge for us in the venture capital space is that we're not the next biotech. We're not making those millions upon millions of dollars away.
No, but you're changing young lives.
Exactly.
You're having an impact on these young lives.
And generations to come. So I think we need a deeply mission-driven company that understands our vision and is excited to partner with us and accelerate us. Because our only limit right now has been our funding. We've done some pretty amazing things with the little bit we've had, and we can do so much more.
Yes, yes, yeah. And so some of your books are kind of, we're talking about cutting edge. What are some of the other, like, strange situations that you want to talk about to kids besides like gay families and
I think definitely approaching books of difference, like physical difference. So thinking about like abilities and like differently able-bodied children, making sure
yes,
that
people with disabilities, exactly.
Are present in our text. Talking about different family types. Where it's multicultural, multiracial, single parent, single father, single mother, having that included in here. Also thinking about language, maybe introducing some books where maybe a main character isn't speaking English, and seeing how we can approach the subject of being sort of navigating the United States when English is your second language.
Yeah, and do you have any mixed culture, Indian American married to, like my nephew married to? Do you have that?
Not yet, but that's actually.
You should definitely do that. That would be a lot of tension in there.
I think so, and some of our friends, there are a couple of books by this PJ Library where they have Hindu Jewish books, which are really, really great, and we're really excited to sort of do something in that space.
We're coming to the end. So good to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Bharat Babies.
Yes.
This is New England Authors with Kameel Nasr. Thank you.